great to be here. Thanks so much for agreeing to the interview with me today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I'd love to just know, what are you working on these days? And
What I'm more into than anything is constructing hope. Teaches people the trades, and I get really excited about it because that learning the trade was the beginning of the Dave's Killer Bread story.
I'd love to hear a little bit about how you're helping people find that and your thoughts on how to do that for us.
I had to hit a bottom in prison. It was my fourth time. When I hit that bottom, and I really had nowhere to go but up, I didn't believe in myself. I was suicidal. I was given the opportunity to go into a vocational education program, and it was computer-aided drafting, but it could have been anything. Within a couple weeks of being in the program, I realized I was onto something. I was changing. That drafting program became my source of freedom, I became mentally free, and that was an amazing thing to have in prison. I'd never been mentally free before, and here I was locked up. That is a great thing to discover, when you discover how to be free wherever you're at. And you can be happy wherever you're at, and you can be successful wherever you're at.
And what's behind that? Is that hope? Is that believing in a future? Feeling you can be good at something? What was that?
A little bit of all that, The hope comes from knowing that things can be different. You have no excuses. You have nobody to blame for your situation. Now you're taking matters into your own hands. And from that point on, you become a stronger and courageous person.
Do you think you would be where you are today if you didn't do any of these vocational or training programs?
No, not at all. I had to learn something. I had to have some sort of education to change my life. It was part of the overall program of changing, transforming. I was a positive, happy person waiting to happen, but you had to get rid of this ingredient of negativity. The education program came along about the same time. The combination of those two things made me a dynamo. I was kicking ass in prison.
Yeah. What does that mean, kicking ass in prison?
I get up in the morning and I would go to school. I'd be on the computer and creating. I would design this table, but once I learned how to make this table, I'd figure out how to make it better. Those things, that's an amazing feeling. You can change things. You can change your life the same way. And so I was doing it all at once. It made me realize that no matter what I'm going to do, I'm going to give it my best and probably be okay at it, be good at it. The same things that I learned in drafting, I was able to take to the street with me, and I created Dave's Killer Bread using the same principles.
What would you say your philosophy is on education, training, and rehabilitation programs in prison?
From the time that I had a moment in prison when I realized I was more capable than I thought, there had to be a lot more people that could benefit from that. We need to somehow get more education into prison. It could really change things.
What do you think states and the federal government could do differently?
It has to start with passionate people who really want to make a difference. You do have the mechanism. The more people are touched by programs like that, it makes a difference in so many ways. It's like you're losing one negative force, you're gaining this amazingly positive force that changes the business that he works for, she works for. Look what I did. Yeah. I went to work, I created bread. Look at all the people that benefited. There's the people whose lives were changed because they did the work, but the opportunity was there. But not everybody's going to be an entrepreneur. No. And that's why we need those vocational training programs. I was happy before I was an entrepreneur. I was successful in my mind because I already was way better than I thought I was. And that was a great feeling.
When we're looking at education and training programs in prison, it seems like there's kind of a spectrum that people think of what prison should do in society, between retribution on the one hand, more of a punishment philosophy, and rehabilitation. How do you think those two can best be squared?
Accountability is a great word. And that meant that, in my case, I had to suffer. I did. I do believe it's a powerful tool. Adversity is a powerful tool for change. Both my transformations I've had in my life began with adversity. I don't think that a person, when they first go to prison, is ready for a vocational training program. I think that they have to do a little bit of soul searching and such, and kind of go, man, I'm done with this, and I'm moving on to a different chapter.
In terms of education and training programs, do you think these should lead to specific certificates and degrees that can demonstrate this work?
Showing that you have done this, you've completed this assignment or this major change in your life, that means a lot to an employer. In general, it just gives you respect, Plus, it's a great thing to be able to, for yourself, to go, well, I completed this degree, I am somebody.
One of the ideas we've been considering with Nucleos is a learning transcript that can take the different education, vocational training programs and create a persistent record that can go from what you're doing on the inside to parole and probation, re-entry. And do you think that's a good idea?
Whoever is behind your helping you with your transformation is important. Your family is important. If you don't have family, it doesn't mean you can't do it. You got to do it for yourself, right?
What advice would you share with people who are currently incarcerated?
I think it's very important for a person to have humility. Humility is not bowing down and being somebody's bitch. It's actually being yourself. And being yourself is the best thing you can be. Once you find that person and you let it out and you become vulnerable, then you're vulnerable to opportunity. And that's what happened for me. It was humility, medication, education, and acceptance of myself. I've been accepting myself with all my faults and failures, but I'm still happy, I can fail today. I could even fail at this interview and go, well, what did I do wrong? You know what I mean? Let's do it right next time.
Looking again at these programs, if you were going to design or, suggest ideas for education and training and, mental wellness support programs in prison, what would you suggest?
More than likely, it's in the trades. The average person in prison isn't going to get out and be an academic. They're going to get out and have an opportunity to contribute as in the trades. I can't get an electrician to save my life. It'd take me a month to get an electrician up here.
Yeah.
I shouldn't do that, What does that say? Opportunity.
Did you do any cognitive wellness or counseling programs, and what do you think the role of those is?
They're great. They're great if you're ready. If you're ready for those programs. I remember the belief windows and, is that going to meet your needs over time? Simple things like that are very powerful. There's great opportunities in prison to learn about your mind and how you work, but there can always be more.
Do you have any thoughts on what governments, legislatures, policymakers should be doing differently in terms of
how many opportunities and how much support is there for people in prison? I think that should be the goal. And how do we set up an accountability model so that it works and people build their way into a better life? Legislation could help with that.
What we're doing with Nucleos, we're bringing in more education and training and emotional and social wellness programs, both in person and digitally.
Yeah.
What do you think about the role of part in person, part digital solutions?
The more in person you have is great, but I did most of my training on my own, even though there was a teacher. He was kind of hands off, and I just got an opportunity to just go as far as I could on the computer. Hey, it resulted in a better person.
Back to what's happening in prisons. Have you seen a change over the years, and are prisons changing their mindset to realize they need more rehabilitation, or is
I think so.
Is it all talk?
Seems like you're onto something with Nucleos. It's all about education. Honestly, it's education and retraining of your mind. Say, look, you're going into this well-rounded sort of program that includes mental training, restructuring of the way you think, things like that, and understand the power of that. So you gotta give them a carrot, you know what I mean? Go, wait a minute, if I do this, I'll get that. That may be how it starts until they get that great self-sufficient thing where they're going, well, my future's great, my present's great because I'm building something. I think an all well-rounded program like that is what I'd like to see. I don't believe we have that.
You told me earlier that success starts in the mind.
Well, when I got out of prison, I didn't have anything. And I lived in my mom's garage, and I was loving it, but I was working my ass off. And it could have been anything because my mind was free, Getting that free mind, and really what that free mind is the absence of negativity. Yeah. I became successful way before Dave's Killer Bread happened.
Now, you've been on multiple sides of, being an ex-con and going to work, being an entrepreneur, and then hiring people as well. Looking at the employer's side, there's a lot of stigma around hiring people who have been incarcerated.
And rightly so, because, they've been burnt before. They've seen other people get burnt so many times. If you do it right, you do your homework and you ask the right questions and you say, what have you been doing with your life the last 2-3 years, 4 or 5 years? While you were in prison, you had this opportunity. What did you do about it? Well, if you didn't do anything about it, then you're not the right guy. There's plenty of good people out there who want a job that are ex-felons.
Yeah, this story of rehabilitation and finding yourself again is really powerful. How has that story influenced your success? I know it's been there as part of the business.
They're mutually inclusive. I mean, there's no way they could be separated. There came a point in my life with Dave's Killer Bread that even though I still understood the principles that had gotten me to success, I became so successful in a different way financially, right? And I became kind of famous, and I'm like, it can't help but go to your head a little bit, right? And I'm drinking, and the drinking and all of that combined with other things that were happening, eventually I had a mental breakdown. All of a sudden I'm like, all these principles I've been talking about, they must be bullshit, right? Because I can't feel it now. I'm like, how am I gonna climb out of this? Well, eventually, and I had to suffer again, I had to have that adversity again and use the same principles to come back again. What makes it so hard to change for a lot of people is the instant gratification model. Everybody, as a criminal, you always get an instant gratification, either drugs, robbery, something like that, where you're just taking it, You have to overcome that. I think it's such an exponential opportunity compared to just about anything else. So we need people who are passionate and care about this and understand that it's not all sappy, sentimental shit. It's real shit. It's stuff that's going to make a real difference. And right in your community. And it's going to make great workers, great family members, great community members. And what's wrong? Who wouldn't want that? I think so much of it has to come from, like I said, the private sector, from people who care and want to help. And, fundraisers, things like that, that eventually the right people put their money in and they get to see their money do things. Results are important.
Could you tell us a little bit about the CAD program you took and what you did in that, what you learned?
I go into this program and I am so illiterate, right? Everybody around me seemed to be ahead of me right away, and I thought, man, I'm dumb, here I am, I'm stupid. But I wasn't thinking negatively like that. I was just like, okay, how am I gonna get over this? Within 2 weeks, I passed everybody. I was just killing it. I just had to get over that hump. And then you save that drawing, and you make 100 other drawings with the same drawing and create one different table, another different table, or make it part of something, make something a part of it. And that was what made Killer Bread possible. But it began with learning drafting. People, when they're gonna invest in something like this, or they're gonna contribute to this cause, they're not giving someone a future. They're giving them an opportunity. And that person is going to take it and create a better future for them and their family and whoever they touch.
That's powerful. Yeah, without opportunities, it can be hard, I guess, for people to...
In order to really make great transformation, people need to be given opportunities. That's a no-brainer.
Well, great. I think we've covered a lot here. Dave, thank you so much for your time. This has been fantastic. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.